He was just the guy who prepped the osso buco. Quiet, trembling. Nobody. Or so they believed. The night Benedetto Viscardi walked into Vescovo's, every CEO and city councilman in Dallas stopped breathing. Men who'd buried scandals and brokered backroom deals were adjusting their ties with shaking fingers. But when the shy kitchen manager emerged from the back carrying antipasti, he didn't drop the tray or mumble apologies. He looked the most feared patriarch in Italian-American organized crime directly in the eye and set the plates down with surgeon-steady hands. The old man's daughter, Octavia Greer, the biker boss who commanded a legitimate empire built on blood, watched from across the table. She didn't recognize him. Not yet. But in 4 hours, Kieran Ashford would speak 7 words in a dialect that hadn't been whispered outside the Viscardi stronghold since 1994. The restaurant didn't just go silent. It shattered. Because those weren't just words. They were a death sentence wrapped in a greeting, and only 3 people in that room would understand why. This is the story of Kieran, the kitchen manager hiding a cemetery of secrets beneath his apron. The knife slipped. Blood bloomed across Kieran's thumb, bright red against the cutting board. He squeezed his hand into a fist, pressed it against his apron, and kept moving. The kitchen at Vescovo's was a war zone at 4 p.m. on a Friday. Head chef Marcello was screaming in French about the duck confit. 2 line cooks were throwing accusations about missing mise en place. The dishwasher had called in sick, leaving a mountain of pots that nobody had time to scrub. Kieran moved through the chaos like a ghost. His hands worked the ragu with movements that were too practiced, too perfect for someone who claimed he'd learned everything from YouTube. The tomatoes he'd crushed that morning had simmered for 6 hours with wine, beef stock, and herbs he'd measured without looking. The smell filled the kitchen. Garlic, basil, slow-cooked meat that fell apart if you breathed on it wrong. Yo, Kay. Trayvon, the sous chef, leaned over Kieran's station. He was 23, covered in tattoos, and had worked at Vescovo's since he was 19. Man, you cook like you actually lived in Italy or something. That ragu smells crazy good. Kieran kept his eyes on the pot. YouTube, brother. Lots of videos. Just following recipes. Nah, man. Trayvon shook his head. I've seen people follow recipes. This ain't that. You got technique. Like professional technique. The door to the kitchen slammed open. Henderson, the floor manager, burst through. He was 45, sweating through his shirt even though the dining room was air-conditioned to 68 degrees. He smelled like stale coffee and the kind of stress that gave people ulcers. What would you do if you came face to face with the person who destroyed your family? Would you run, or would you stand your ground and risk everything for justice? That's the impossible choice Kieran was about to make. Before we continue, if you're new here, welcome to our channel where we share real stories about courage, justice, and the hard choices that define us. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that might change how you see the world. Listen up. Henderson clapped his hands. The kitchen went quiet except for the industrial fans and the sizzle of pans. We have a VIP situation tonight. The Greer family is hosting their anniversary celebration in the private dining room. 50 guests. Major players. Politicians, business executives, the works. Kieran's hand tightened on his spoon. The Greers. He'd heard that name before. Seen it in files he wasn't supposed to remember. Octavia Greer is bringing her father from Naples, Henderson continued. Old money. Old power. The kind of people who don't forget faces or forgive mistakes. I need everyone on their A game. Be invisible. Be perfect. No screw-ups. Marcello stepped forward. What's the seating time? 7:30. They want the full experience. Antipasti, primi, secondi, dolce. Wine pairings. The works. Henderson looked directly at Kieran. Ashford, your ragu is going out as one of the primi options. Make it count. Kieran nodded. Didn't trust his voice. The staff scattered back to their stations. Trayvon nudged Kieran's shoulder. Yo, you good? You look like you just saw a ghost. Yeah. Kieran forced a smile. Just nervous. Big night. Relax, man. Your food's fire. They're gonna love it. If only that were the problem. Henderson had left a clipboard on the pass. Kieran glanced at it while pretending to check an order ticket. Guest list. Names in neat columns. His eyes scanned down the page, and then his vision tunneled. Everything else in the kitchen went silent except for the blood pounding in his ears. Benedetto Viscardi. The name sat on the page like a bullet with his name on it. Kieran's fingers went numb. The spoon clattered onto the floor. Trayvon turned around. "Kay, you all right?" "Yeah. Just..." Kieran bent to pick up the spoon, using the motion to hide his face. "Low blood sugar. I'm good." He wasn't good. He was standing in a kitchen in Dallas, Texas, staring at the name of the man who'd ordered his wife's murder 2 years ago. The man whose organization had put 3 bullets into Sienna while she carried groceries from their car. The man who'd made Kieran's 6-year-old daughter, Piper, an orphan in everything but name. The walk-in cooler was empty. Kieran stumbled inside, pulled the door shut behind him. The cold hit him like a wall. 40 degrees. His breath came out in clouds. He leaned against a shelf of produce, legs shaking. His phone was in his pocket. He pulled it out with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. Piper's face smiled up at him from the lock screen. 6 years old. Missing her 2 front teeth. Wearing the unicorn shirt Sienna had bought her 3 days before she died. Kieran's FBI handler had been clear. "They find you, Kieran. They don't arrest you. They don't negotiate. They kill you. And then they kill anyone connected to you. Your daughter included. You stay hidden. You stay quiet. You stay alive." He'd stayed hidden for 2 years. Worked in kitchens from Austin to Oklahoma City to Dallas. Paid cash for everything. Used a fake social security number. Taught Piper to call him by his new name until she forgot Kieran DiNardo ever existed. Built a wall between who he'd been and who he had to become. And now Benedetto Viscardi was walking into his restaurant in 3 hours. Kieran opened his text messages. Typed. "Emergency. Coming to get Piper. Pack a bag." His thumb hovered over send. He thought about Sienna. The way she'd laughed at his terrible jokes. The way she'd danced in the kitchen while he cooked. The way she'd died on their driveway, blood spreading across concrete, groceries scattered like evidence of a normal life that had ended in 3 seconds. He thought about Piper. How she'd asked every night for a month why Mommy wasn't coming home. How she'd stopped asking eventually, but never stopped checking the door. He thought about all the other families. The other widows. The other orphans. The trail of bodies Benedetto Viscardi had left across 40 years of building an empire on other people's graves. Kieran deleted the text. Pulled the wedding ring from under his shirt. It hung on a chain against his chest. He pressed it against his lips. Whispered Sienna's name. Then he pushed off the shelf. Walked back into the kitchen. His hands were steady now. His mind was clear. He had 3 hours to prepare. Not just the food, but the 7 words. The 7 words in the archaic Neapolitan dialect that would announce to everyone who mattered that Benedetto Viscardi's past had walked into his daughter's celebration. The 7 words that would either bring justice or get him killed. Trayvon looked up from his station. "You good, man? You were in there for like 10 minutes. "Yeah." Kieran tied his apron tighter. Checked his mise en place. Everything in its place. Everything ready. "I'm good. Just needed a minute." "Cool. Cause Henderson wants you to personally serve the appetizers to the VIP table. He thinks it's a nice touch. The cook meeting the guests." Kieran's stomach dropped. "Personally? Yeah, man. You're about to be face to face with some seriously important people." Trayvon grinned. "Hope you got your game face ready." Game face. Right. Outside, beyond the kitchen's steel doors and the dining room's marble floors, 3 black SUVs pulled into the parking lot. They moved in formation. Military precision. The first vehicle stopped directly in front of the entrance. The driver's door opened. The security detail emerged first. 4 men in dark suits that couldn't quite hide the shapes of guns holstered beneath their jackets. They wore earpieces. Dead eyes that scanned rooftops, parking lot exits, sight lines. The kind of men who'd killed before and would kill again without losing sleep. Then the second SUV's rear door opened, and Octavia Greer stepped out. She was 38 but moved like someone who'd lived 3 lifetimes. Leather jacket over a tailored business suit. Blonde hair slicked back so tight it looked painful. A neck tattoo crawled up from her collar. Something in Italian script that Kieran couldn't read from the kitchen window where he stood watching. She wore sunglasses even though the sun was setting. Boots that had steel toes. She looked like what she was, a woman who'd inherited an empire and then made it twice as dangerous. Octavia scanned the parking lot once. Then she walked to the third SUV, opened the door herself, extended her hand inside. The hand that emerged was weathered, spotted with age. Heavy gold rings on 3 fingers. It gripped an ebony cane topped with a silver wolf's head. Benedetto Viscardi stepped into the fading Dallas sunlight. He was 70 years old. Burgundy suit that probably cost more than Kieran's car. Fedora tilted just so. Tinted glasses that hid his eyes. The cane wasn't for show, he leaned on it heavily. But there was nothing weak about the way he carried himself. He stood like a man who'd spent 50 years making people kneel. The smell of Cuban cigars and expensive leather cologne drifted across the parking lot. Even from 50 feet away, even through glass, Kieran caught it. That smell triggered something. A memory he'd buried. Files he'd read. Surveillance reports that had described Benedetto's habits down to the brand of cigars he preferred. Romeo y Julieta. Chichils. $60 each. The restaurant staff had been briefed. They lined up inside the entrance like soldiers awaiting inspection. Henderson stood at the front, sweat stains visible under his arms. The hostess, Misha, had redone her makeup 3 times. Even Marcello had taken off his stained chef's coat and put on a clean one. Kieran stayed in the kitchen, watched through the pass window. The front doors opened. Benedetto walked through first, Octavia at his right shoulder, security fanning out behind them. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Conversations died mid-sentence. A waiter dropped a water glass. It shattered on the marble floor. Nobody moved to clean it up. Buona sera. Benedetto's voice carried. Gravel mixed with honey. The voice of a man who'd given orders that ended lives. The restaurant is beautiful. My compliments. Henderson stepped forward. His hand shook when he extended it. Don Viscardi. Ms. Greer. It's an honor. We've prepared the private dining room exactly to your specifications. Good. Octavia removed her sunglasses. Her eyes were green. Cold. They swept across the staff like she was taking inventory. Where's the chef? In the kitchen, preparing your meal personally. I want to meet him. Henderson's face went pale. Of course. Right away. No. Benedetto raised his hand. Let the man cook. We will meet him when the food is ready. If it is as good as my daughter claims, perhaps he deserves a compliment from an old man who knows real Italian cooking. They moved toward the private dining room. The security detail checked the space first. Swept for bugs. Checked windows. Examined the wine bottles. Only when they gave the signal did Benedetto enter. The guests began arriving 10 minutes later. Men in suits that cost what Kieran made in 3 months. Women in dresses and jewelry that could have fed families for years. A city councilman. 2 state senators. The CEO of a logistics company that Kieran recognized from his FBI days. A company that laundered money through 14 shell corporations. This wasn't just a celebration. This was a coronation. Octavia Greer was being presented to Dallas's power structure as the legitimate heir to her father's empire. In the kitchen, Kieran worked. His hands moved through the motions he'd practiced for 2 years. Plating. Garnishing. Checking temperatures. But his mind was somewhere else. Back in a cold room in Virginia where his FBI handler had shown him photographs. This is Benedetto Viscardi. 73 confirmed kills attributed to his organization. That's confirmed. The real number is probably triple. He's been untouchable for 40 years. Smart. Careful. Never gets his own hands dirty. Kieran had studied those photographs, memorized every line in that face, every scar, every detail, because he'd thought that someday, somehow, he'd be called to testify, to help build the case that would finally bring the old man down. He'd never imagined he'd be cooking the man dinner. Ashford. Henderson burst into the kitchen. The appetizers. They're ready. Yes. Good. Because you're serving them. Kieran's stomach clenched. What? You heard me. Don Viscardi asked specifically to meet the chef. Marcello's too busy with the mains. You made the ragu. You're going out there. Henderson's eyes were wild. And Ashford. Don't screw this up. Don't stare. Don't ask questions. Serve. Smile. Get out. Understand. Kieran nodded. His mouth was too dry to speak. Trayvon helped him load the appetizers onto a serving tray. Bruschetta. Prosciutto-wrapped melon. Marinated olives. And in the center, small bowls of the ragu with fresh bread for dipping. You got this, Trayvon whispered. Just breathe. Breathing. Right. That was the problem. Kieran's lungs felt like they were filled with concrete. He lifted the tray, pushed through the kitchen doors, crossed the main dining room. The private dining room was at the back. Double doors. Security standing on either side. One of them checked Kieran's apron, his pockets, even made him open his mouth, then nodded him through. The private dining room was full. 50 people. The air thick with cigar smoke and expensive perfume. Conversations in English, Italian, Spanish. Power brokered in 4 languages simultaneously. And at the head table, Benedetto Viscardi sat like a king holding court. Octavia on his right. An empty chair on his left that nobody dared occupy. Kieran walked forward. Every step felt like walking through water. His hands didn't shake. That was good. He'd trained them not to shake anymore. He reached the table. Set down the appetizers. One by one. Careful. Precise. Benedetto looked up. Those tinted glasses tilted toward Kieran's face. You are the cook. Yes, sir. Kieran kept his voice soft. Submissive. I hope everything is to your liking. We will see. Benedetto picked up a piece of bread. Dipped it in the ragu. Chewed slowly. His expression didn't change. Then he swallowed. This is good. You learned in Italy. No, sir. YouTube. Just videos and practice. A lie. But a good one. Benedetto leaned back. YouTube. The modern world is amazing. In my day, you learned by watching masters for years. Now you watch a phone. He gestured at the ragu. But there is something in this dish. Something that cannot be learned from a screen. You have the touch. The understanding. Where are you from? Here, sir. Dallas. Your family. Kieran's throat closed. He forced words out. My wife passed 2 years ago. Cancer. It's just me and my daughter now. Not entirely a lie. Just incomplete. Cancer. Benedetto shook his head. Terrible. My condolences. He raised his wine glass. To your wife. May she rest. Kieran wanted to throw that glass in the old man's face. Wanted to scream the truth. But he nodded. Thank you, sir. Octavia was watching him. Really watching. Her green eyes moved across his face like she was solving a puzzle. Have we met before? No, ma'am. I just started here 3 weeks ago. She didn't look convinced. You just seem familiar. A phone buzzed. One of the security guards stepped forward, whispered in Octavia's ear. She stood. Excuse me. Business. She left the room. The moment she was gone, Benedetto's expression changed. The grandfatherly warmth vanished. He leaned forward. Spoke in rapid Sicilian dialect, the harsh mountain accent that Kieran recognized from surveillance tapes. You know what I hate about America? Everyone pretends. Everyone wears masks. Nobody shows respect. He gestured at the room. These politicians, these businessmen. They smile. They shake hands. But they have no honor. No understanding of the old ways. The man next to Benedetto, someone Kieran didn't recognize, laughed. Responded in the same dialect. Don Benedetto, America has made us rich. Let them pretend. Bah! Benedetto waved his hand dismissively. Then his eyes returned to Kieran. Still speaking Sicilian. Look at this cook. Trembling like a mouse. Probably thinks I'm some kind of monster because I speak Italian. The men at the table laughed. Kieran's jaw tightened. He started to turn away. Then Benedetto said something else. In a dialect that was different. Older. The archaic Neapolitan of the inner Camorra circles. The language of blood oaths. The language Kieran had spent 3 years of his life studying because it was the key to understanding how the old families operated. Benedetto said, "These Americans. They cook our food but understand nothing of our culture. Like dogs performing tricks for treats." The men laughed again. And something inside Kieran snapped. He turned back. Looked Benedetto Viscardi directly in the eye. And in that same archaic dialect, perfect pronunciation, the tonal shifts that marked someone born to it, he spoke 7 words. I traditai morti ti salutano, Massaleo del Veduve. The betrayed dead greet you, butcher of widows. The room didn't go silent. It died. 3 guests gasped. 1 dropped his fork. Octavia's wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the marble floor. Benedetto's face drained of all color. He stared at Kieran like he was looking at a ghost. His hand tightened on the wolf-head cane so hard his knuckles went white. Who? His voice cracked. He tried again. Who are you? Kieran didn't answer. He turned and walked toward the kitchen doors. Every eye in the room followed him. He'd taken 3 steps when Octavia's voice cut through the silence like a knife. Stop him. Security, take him. Alive. I want him alive. 4 men in suits rushed forward. Hands reaching for guns. Kieran ran. Kieran hit the kitchen doors at full speed. They slammed open, metal crashing against metal. Trayvon jumped back, nearly dropping a pan of duck confit. Yo, what? Move. Kieran shoved past him. The security detail was 5 seconds behind. He could hear their footsteps, the crackle of radio communication. Octavia's voice screaming orders in Italian. The kitchen was a maze if you didn't know it. Kieran knew it. 3 weeks of working every station, every shift, memorizing exits and blind spots. Survival habit. FBI training. Always know your escape routes. He grabbed the edge of the prep table and pulled. 50 pounds of stainless steel loaded with vegetables crashed to the floor. Carrots, onions, celery exploded across the tile. The first security guard hit the mess at running speed. Feet went out from under him, skull cracked against the floor. 1 down. Marcello was screaming in French. Someone hit the fire alarm. Sprinklers erupted from the ceiling. Cold water rained down. The kitchen dissolved into chaos. Kieran vaulted over the grill station. Grabbed a 10-inch chef's knife from the magnetic strip. Not to kill. Just to have. Just in case. His hand wrapped around the handle like meeting an old friend. 2 more guards burst through the doors. Younger. Faster. They split up, flanking him. Professional. Military training. This wasn't mob muscle. This was something else. The one on the left moved first. Reached for his gun. Kieran threw a stainless steel mixing bowl. It hit the guard's wrist, sent the gun skittering across wet tile. Then Kieran was inside his range, knife against his throat. Don't. Kieran's voice was ice. I don't want to hurt you. But I will. The guard froze. His partner aimed a gun at Kieran's head. Mexican standoff. Water pouring down. Kitchen staff pressed against walls. Trayvon's eyes wide as plates. Drop the knife, the second guard said. American accent. Texas. Drop it now or I put a bullet in your skull. Then you'll have to explain to your boss why you killed the only person who can tell her what she needs to know. Kieran pressed the blade harder. A thin line of blood appeared on the first guard's neck. Radio her. Tell her I want to talk. Alone. Or this gets messy. The second guard's finger tightened on the trigger. Kieran could see it. Read it in his body language. This man would shoot. Would deal with consequences later. Then Octavia's voice came through the radio. Tinny. Commanding. Stand down. Let him go. The second guard didn't lower his weapon. Ma'am, we have him cornered. I said stand down. Everyone out. Clear the kitchen. Now. The guard with the gun to his head looked confused, but he backed away slowly. His partner did the same. They moved toward the doors, weapons still drawn, eyes never leaving Kieran. The kitchen staff evacuated fast. Trayvon was the last one out. He looked back once, mouthed something Kieran couldn't read, then disappeared through the dining room doors. Kieran stood alone in the ruined kitchen. Water still falling from the sprinklers. Vegetables scattered like evidence of violence. His hand still gripping the knife. The back door was 15 feet away. Service entrance. Led to the alley. From there, 3 blocks to the bus station. He could disappear. Had done it before. Had fake IDs stashed in a storage unit. Cash. Passports. Everything needed to vanish. But Piper. His daughter was with a babysitter in an apartment across town. If he ran now, how long before they found her? How long before Octavia Greer made the connection between the shy kitchen manager and Kieran DiNardo, the FBI consultant who'd tried to dismantle her father's empire? The back door opened. Not the security team. Just Octavia. Alone. She'd taken off her jacket. Her suit was soaked from running through the sprinkler system. Hair plastered to her skull. The neck tattoo was fully visible now. Latin words. Mors tua vita mea. Your death, my life. She held her hands up. Empty. No weapon visible. I'm not armed. Your men are waiting outside. 10 feet back. I told them not to interfere. She took a step closer. Water ran down her face. She looked smaller without the leather armor. Younger. That dialect you spoke. The ceremonial Neapolitan. Where did you learn it? Doesn't matter. It matters to me. Another step. Her green eyes locked on his. That language died with the old families. My father barely speaks it anymore. It's sacred. Secret. Only blood learns it. Only those born to the inner circles. Kieran's grip tightened on the knife. Then maybe you should ask your father who he's killed over the years. Maybe some of those people had children. Children who listened. Children who learned. Understanding flickered across her face. You're not just some cook. No. The FBI. Kieran didn't answer. But his silence was answer enough. Octavia's jaw clenched. What's your real name? Doesn't matter. It matters to me. Her voice cracked. Actual emotion breaking through the Ice Queen exterior. That phrase you spoke. The betrayed dead greet you, butcher of widows. That's not just an insult. That's a blood declaration. That's... She stopped. Her eyes went wide. DiNardo. You're Kieran DiNardo. The name hung in the air like a confession. The FBI consultant, she continued, voice dropping to a whisper. The linguistic specialist. The one who was tracking our operations 3 years ago. The one who died in a car accident 18 months ago. She laughed. Bitter. Except you didn't die. No. I didn't. Kieran's voice was granite. But my wife did. 3 bullets. Motorcycle shooter. Our driveway. My 6-year-old daughter watched from the window. Octavia's face went pale. She took a step back. Shook her head. No. We don't kill families. We don't touch innocents. That's... Your father ordered it. Kieran moved forward. The knife still in his hand. Your organization executed it. Don't stand there and pretend you're clean. I didn't know. Her voice was barely audible over the sprinklers. I swear. I didn't know. Your ignorance doesn't bring her back. No. Octavia's hands were shaking now. Actual fear in her eyes. But if what you're saying is true, if my father ordered a hit on an innocent woman, on a wife, on a mother, she looked up at him. That breaks every code. Every rule. We don't do that. We've never done that. You did it to me. Sirens. Distant but getting closer. Someone had called the police. The fire alarm was still screaming. This was about to get complicated. Octavia heard them too. You need to leave. No. Out the back. My security won't stop you. You have maybe 3 minutes before Dallas PD shows up, and if they find you here, if they run your prints, your whole new identity collapses. Why would you help me? Because, she struggled with the words, because if you're telling the truth, if my father really ordered what you say he did, then something is very wrong. And I need to know what. Kieran started backing toward the rear exit. Stay away from me. Stay away from my daughter. Or the next time I see you, I won't just speak words. He hit the back door with his shoulder. It flew open. Cold Dallas air hit him. The alley was dark, wet from earlier rain. Dumpsters lined one side. Fire escapes zigzagged up brick walls. He ran. Behind him, Octavia stood in the kitchen doorway, watching him disappear into the darkness. She pulled out her phone, dialed a number. It's me. We have a situation. I need everything you can find on Kieran DiNardo, FBI consultant. Supposedly died 18 months ago. She paused, and pulled the file on the Sienna DiNardo hit. I want to know who ordered it and who executed it. She hung up, stared at the empty alley, whispered to herself, What have you done, Papa? The sirens were getting closer. Kieran's lungs burned. He'd been running for 6 blocks, sticking to alleys, avoiding streetlights. The chef's knife was still in his hand. He needed to ditch it. Tossed it into a dumpster behind a closed bodega. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Then thought. Piper's babysitter. Could be an emergency. Yeah. Mr. Ashford. The babysitter's voice. Young. Nervous. There's some guys outside the apartment. They're just standing there. Black suits. It's weird. Should I be worried? Ice flooded Kieran's veins. Lock the doors. Don't let anyone in. I'm coming. Okay, but... Now. Lock them now. He hung up. Started running faster. The apartment was 20 blocks away. Too far. He needed a car. Needed something. A black sedan pulled up beside him. Passenger window rolled down. Octavia Greer leaned across from the driver's seat. Get in. Go to hell. Those men at your apartment? They're not mine. She kept pace with him as he ran. I just got word. Someone else is making a move. Someone who wants both of us dead. Get in the car before your daughter becomes collateral damage. Kieran stopped. Every instinct screamed trap. But if she wanted him dead, she could have shot him in the alley. Could have had her security tear him apart. He got in the car. Octavia punched the accelerator before he'd even closed the door. The sedan shot forward, engine roaring. She drove like someone who'd done pursuit training. Took corners at speeds that made the tires scream. Where? She demanded. He gave her the address. She nodded, adjusted course. Why are you helping me? Because 30 minutes ago, I got a call from my head of security, Vincenzo Caro. He congratulated me on handling the situation at Vescovo's, except I never told him what happened, which means he already knew. She ran a red light. A truck horn blared, which means he has people inside my organization reporting to him, which means I have a bigger problem than one angry FBI consultant. You think he's behind this? I think he's been planning something for a long time. I think your wife's murder was part of it. I think he's been setting up my father for a fall, and you walking and speaking the old dialect? That accelerated his timeline. They took a corner so hard Kieran had to grab the door handle. Why would he kill my wife? To start a war. FBI goes after my father retaliates, everything falls apart. Vincenzo steps into the power vacuum. She glanced at him. You were bait. Your wife was the hook. I'm sorry. Sorry. The word tasted like ash. The apartment building appeared ahead. 3 black cars parked out front. Men in suits. Not Octavia's men. Different energy. These ones had their guns visible. That's a kill team, Octavia said quietly. Professional. Not street muscle. Vincenzo brought in outside contractors. Can you call them off? If they're Vincenzo's? No. He's cut me out of the command structure. She pulled the car into a parking garage across the street. Killed the engine. How do you want to play this? Kieran was already pulling off his chef's coat. Under it, he wore a plain black t-shirt. I go in through the fire escape. You create a distraction out front. They'll shoot me. You're the boss's daughter. They won't shoot you. They'll talk. That gives me 60 seconds. She pulled a phone from her jacket. I can't promise I can hold them longer than that. Then I'd better move fast. They got out of the car. Kieran headed for the alley that ran behind the apartment building. Octavia walked straight toward the front entrance. One of the men in suits stepped forward. Ms. Greer. You shouldn't be here. Funny. Since I own half the city, I figured I could be wherever I want. She crossed her arms. What's Vincenzo playing at? I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Where is he? Behind the building, Kieran climbed. The fire escape was old, rusty. Each step groaned under his weight. He moved fast. 2nd floor. 3rd. 4th. His apartment was on the 5th floor, northeast corner. He could hear voices below. Octavia arguing with the kill team. Buying him time. 5th floor. The window to his apartment was closed but unlocked. He'd made sure of that. Always have an escape route. He slid it open, climbed through. The apartment was dark. Small. 2 bedrooms, kitchen, bathroom. He'd paid cash for it. No lease. Landlord didn't ask questions. Piper. He called softly. A closet door opened. The babysitter stepped out, holding Piper's hand. The girl was 17, college student, needed the money. Her face was streaked with tears. Mr. Ashford, I'm so sorry, I didn't know what to. It's okay. You did good. He knelt in front of Piper. His daughter. 6 years old. Brown eyes just like her mother's. Hey, baby girl. We're going on an adventure, okay? Is it bad guys? Piper's voice was small. She'd asked that question before. 2 years ago, when the FBI moved them the first time. Yeah, baby. Bad guys. But Daddy's got it handled. You always say that. And I'm always right, aren't I? She managed a tiny smile. Kieran grabbed the go bag from under his bed. Cash. Fake IDs. Passports. Gun. He checked the magazine. Full. Safety off. He handed the babysitter $500 from the cash stack. You were never here. You don't know us. Understand? She nodded, took the money, ran for the door. Kieran scooped up Piper. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Where's Miss Octavia? He stopped. You know her. She was here yesterday. Brought me ice cream. Said she was your friend from work. Cold realization. Octavia had known where he lived before tonight. Had visited his daughter. Had been planning this. Before he could process that, his phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Roof. No. They're coming up the stairs. Oh. Kieran ran for the fire escape. Climbed. Piper clung to him. Her small hands gripped his shirt. The roof was flat, covered in gravel. HVAC units hummed. The city spread out around them, lights stretching to the horizon. Octavia stood at the far edge. She'd lost her suit jacket somewhere. Just the white shirt, soaked through. She turned when she heard them. They're in the building. Vincenzo's men. I bought you maybe 2 minutes before. The roof access door exploded open. 3 men, guns raised. Kieran set Piper down behind an HVAC unit. Pulled his own gun. Stay down, baby. Don't look. Drop it. The lead contractor shouted. Both of you. Now. Octavia raised her hands. This isn't what Vincenzo told you. He's playing everyone. He told us you'd say that. The man's gun never wavered. He told us you'd try to turn us. But we know the truth. You've been skimming. You've been working with the feds. And this, he gestured at Kieran. This is your FBI handler. That's insane, Octavia said. Is it? Then explain why you're here. Why you're protecting him. Why you let him escape the restaurant. She didn't have an answer. The man smiled. Yeah, that's what I thought. Vincenzo says hello. Says it's nothing personal. Just business. His finger tightened on the trigger. A helicopter searchlight exploded across the roof. White light so bright it turned night to day. The contractors threw up their hands. Blinded. The helicopter dropped lower. Not police. The markings were corporate. Greer Industries. A voice boomed over a loudspeaker. Old. Gravelly. Furious. Vincenzo Caro. I know you're listening. You have 30 seconds to call off your dogs or I burn everything you love to the ground. Benedetto Viscardi. The contractors looked at each other. Confused. Their earpieces were crackling. Someone was screaming orders. Kieran didn't wait. He grabbed Piper, ran for Octavia. Move. They ran to the edge of the roof. A rope ladder dropped from the helicopter. Octavia climbed first. Then Kieran handed Piper up. Finally pulled himself up just as gunshots rang out below. The helicopter banked hard, rose fast. Dallas fell away beneath them. Inside the helicopter, Benedetto sat in a leather seat. Still in his burgundy suit. Still holding his wolf-head cane. He looked at Kieran with eyes that had seen 50 years of violence. So, he said in perfect English, the man who speaks like family. The man who insulted me in my daughter's celebration. The man who married Sienna Valdez. He leaned forward. Tell me, Kieran DiNardo, do you want revenge? Or do you want justice? Piper pressed against Kieran's chest, crying silently. Kieran met the old man's eyes. I want both. The helicopter touched down on a private rooftop helipad 20 minutes outside Dallas. Kieran couldn't tell exactly where. Somewhere in the hills. The kind of place that didn't show up on maps. A mansion spread out below the helipad. Old stone. European architecture. Gardens lit with soft lights that made the whole property look like something from another century. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. German shepherds walked beside them. This was Benedetto's real home. Not the public address downtown. Not the legitimate business offices. This was the fortress. Come. Benedetto climbed out of the helicopter with surprising agility for a 70-year-old man. The cane was just for show, Kieran realized. A prop. The old wolf was stronger than he pretended. Bring the child. She is safe here. Safer than anywhere else in Texas tonight. Kieran held Piper close. She'd stopped crying, but her whole body was tense. 6 years old, and she'd already lived through 2 evacuations. 2 moments of running for her life. How much trauma could one little girl take before it broke her? I want mommy, she whispered. Kieran's heart cracked. I know, baby. I know. Inside, the mansion was warm. Wood floors. Art on the walls that was probably worth millions. A library with books floor to ceiling. It smelled like old paper and expensive whiskey. A woman appeared. Older. Kind face. She spoke to Benedetto in rapid Italian, then looked at Piper. The bambina is exhausted. Let me take her. I have a room prepared. Kieran's arms tightened. I don't leave her. Mr. DiNardo. The woman's voice was gentle. English with a heavy accent. I am Maria. I raised Octavia. I raised all of Don Benedetto's children. I have been with this family for 40 years. Your daughter is safe with me. She needs sleep, food, a warm bath. Things you cannot provide while you discuss business with dangerous men. Piper looked up at Kieran. It's okay, Daddy. I'm tired. He kissed her forehead. Let Maria take her hand. Watch them disappear up a curved staircase. Every instinct screamed to follow. But Benedetto was watching him with those calculating eyes, and there were things that needed to be said. Things that couldn't be said in front of a 6-year-old. Come. Benedetto led them to a study. Oak desk. Leather chairs. Windows overlooking the garden. He poured 3 glasses of whiskey without asking if they wanted it. Handed one to Kieran, one to Octavia. Kept the third for himself. Sit. Kieran remained standing. I'm not one of your soldiers. No. You are the man who watched his wife die because of an order I gave. Benedetto's voice was steady. No apology in it. Just fact. You are the man who spent 2 years hiding, plotting, preparing. You are the man who walked into my daughter's celebration and spoke words that could start a war. He sat in the leather chair behind the desk. So I ask you again, Mr. DiNardo. What do you want? I want to know why. Kieran's voice was raw. My wife was a teacher. She had nothing to do with organized crime. Nothing to do with my work. She was innocent. So why did you order her killed? I didn't. Liar. Mr. DiNardo. 3 bullets. Kieran slammed his glass down. Whiskey splashed across the oak desk. 3 bullets fired by a man on a motorcycle. Professional hit. Calculated. Cold. The kind of execution your organization is famous for. So don't stand there and tell me. I said I didn't order it. I didn't say it wasn't done in my name. Benedetto stood. Walked to a wall safe hidden behind a painting. Spun the combination. Pulled out a folder. Thick. Full of documents. He dropped it on the desk. Read. Kieran opened the folder. The first page was a surveillance photo. His own face. Younger. 3 years ago. Standing outside the FBI field office in Virginia. The next page was a target assessment. His name. His position. His work history. The page after that made his blood turn to ice. Target. Sienna Marie DiNardo, née Valdez, relationship. Wife of primary target Kieran DiNardo, threat level. Minimal recommended action. Termination to create pressure on primary target authorization. V. Caro, head of security. Vincenzo Caro. Not Benedetto. Vincenzo. Keep reading, Benedetto said quietly. Kieran flipped pages. Found transcripts. Intercepted emails. Phone recordings. Vincenzo talking to someone. Planning. Scheming. The old man is losing his edge. His daughter is too soft. We need to create chaos. Force them to retaliate. Draw in the feds. When the dust settles, I'll be the only one left standing. And the wife. The target's wife. Kill her. Make it look like the Viscardis did it. DiNardo will go scorched earth. Perfect distraction. The room spun. Kieran sat down hard in the leather chair. You're saying this wasn't about me. It was about him taking power. Yes. Benedetto picked up his whiskey. Drank. Vincenzo has been my head of security for 15 years. I trusted him. I gave him access to everything. And he used that access to build his own network. To plan a coup. He looked at Octavia. Your elevation to head of American operations? It threatened him. So he accelerated his timeline. Octavia was reading through the folder now. Her face had gone pale. Papa, some of these hits. Some of these operations. I authorized them based on Vincenzo's intelligence. He told me. She stopped. Looked up. He told me these people were threats. That they were working with rival families. But if this is real, if he was lying, then we have killed innocents. Benedetto's voice was stone. We have broken the code. We have become the animals the FBI says we are. Kieran stood, walked to the window, looked out at the garden. So what now? You tell me this wasn't your fault. You show me evidence. And I'm supposed to what? Forgive you. Work with you. No. Benedetto moved beside him. I'm telling you that we have a common enemy. Vincenzo has your daughter's name on a list. He has my daughter's name on a list. He has my name on a list. In approximately 12 hours, he plans to execute all of us and blame it on a rival family moving against the Viscardis. How do you know? Because 20 minutes ago, one of my loyal soldiers called me from Vincenzo's operation center. He's listening, recording, risking his life because he still believes in the old code. Benedetto turned to face him. Vincenzo has 40 men, access to military-grade weapons, political connections. If we don't stop him, he wins. And everyone we love dies. Then kill him. You're good at that. We can't kill what we can't find. He's moved to a secure location, unknown even to me. The only way to draw him out is to give him what he wants. Which is you. Benedetto's eyes were hard. He wants you dead. Publicly. To prove to my organization that the Viscardis still have power. That we handle our problems. He paused. But if you were willing to play bait, if you were willing to let him think he'd won, we could set a trap. Kieran laughed. Bitter. You want me to trust you. The man whose organization killed my wife. You want me to put my life in your hands. Not my hands. Benedetto gestured to Octavia. Hers. Octavia stepped forward. Her green eyes met Kieran's. I know you have no reason to believe me. I know what my family has done. What my father has built. But I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to make this empire legitimate. Clean. And Vincenzo is destroying that. She pulled out her phone. Showed him something. This is a recording. From 2 days ago. Vincenzo talking to his lieutenant about your daughter. Kieran took the phone. Pressed play. Vincenzo's voice, cold and clinical. The girl is 6 years old. Lives with the father. If DiNardo becomes a problem, we take her first. Make him watch. Then kill him slow. Send a message. Rage. Pure and absolute. It flooded through Kieran's body like fire. I want him. His voice was barely human. I want to be the one who. You'll have your chance. Octavia put a hand on his arm. Her touch was warm. Unexpected. But we do this smart. We do this right. We get evidence. We expose his network. We dismantle everything he's built. And then, she looked at her father. Then we let Kieran decide what justice looks like. Benedetto nodded. Agreed. The old man and the FBI consultant stood there in the study. 2 men on opposite sides of the law. 2 men who'd spent careers destroying each other. United now by one thing, protecting their children. Kieran extended his hand. I don't forgive you. I never will. But until Vincenzo is dead, we work together. Benedetto shook it. His grip was iron. Understood. Octavia looked between them. So what's the plan? Before anyone could answer, Kieran's phone rang. The one he'd thought was secure. The one only 3 people had the number for. Unknown caller. He answered. Put it on speaker. Vincenzo Caro's voice filled the room. Smooth. Confident. Kieran. I know you're with the Viscardis. I know they showed you the folder. I know they're trying to turn you. A pause. A smile in his voice. But here's what they didn't tell you. I have someone very close to you. Someone who misses her mommy. Someone who's sleeping soundly in a room on the 2nd floor of Benedetto's mansion. And in about 30 seconds, my associate is going to walk into that room and take her. Unless you walk out the front door. Alone. Hands up. Ready to die. Kieran's blood froze. You're bluffing. Am I? Check the security feed for the second floor. East wing. Guest bedroom 3. Octavia rushed to her phone. Pulled up the security app. Her face went white. Papa. Someone's in the house. On the screen, a figure in black moved down the hallway. Toward Piper's room. The door opened. Kieran was already running. Kieran hit the stairs at full speed. His gun was already in his hand. Safety off. Finger on the trigger. The second floor hallway stretched ahead. Cream carpet, paintings on walls, soft lighting that made everything look peaceful. A lie. The door to Piper's room was cracked open. Light spilled through. Kieran heard Maria's voice inside, singing softly in Italian. Then another voice. Male. Low. Professional. Don't scream. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Kieran kicked the door. It exploded inward. The man in black spun. Gun rising. Kieran was faster. 2 shots. Center mass. The man dropped. Maria was pressed against the wall, arms wrapped around Piper. The little girl's eyes were squeezed shut. She was humming. The same song Maria had been singing. Blocking out reality the way 6-year-olds do when the world becomes too terrible to face. Kieran swept the room. One threat. Neutralized. He checked the body. Dead. Professional gear. Military-grade weapons. Earpiece still transmitting. He crushed it under his boot. Maria. Take her. Basement. Now. The older woman nodded. Scooped up Piper. Ran. Kieran moved to the window. Scanned the grounds. 3 more figures in black moving through the garden. The German shepherds were down. Tranquilized or dead. Benedetto's guards were scattered, taking cover behind stone fountains and hedges. This wasn't a kidnapping attempt. This was an assault. Octavia appeared in the doorway. She'd grabbed a gun from somewhere. Her shirt was torn. Blood on her cheek. There are at least 6 of them. They breached the perimeter 5 minutes ago. My father's men are holding them at the south entrance, but... Explosion. The entire mansion shook. Windows shattered. Smoke poured through the hallway. Grenades, Kieran said. They're not taking prisoners. The safe room. Basement level. Maria knows the code. Octavia was already moving. We need to get everyone down there before. Gunfire erupted from the first floor. Automatic weapons. The sound was deafening. They ran for the stairs. Benedetto was already there, moving down with surprising speed. His cane was gone. He held a pistol that looked older than Kieran. Probably was. My men are falling back, the old man said. Vincenzo brought a goddamn army. How many? Kieran asked. 20. Maybe more. They have the first floor. We have maybe 3 minutes before they reach the basement. The 3 of them hit the basement level. Stone walls. Wine cellar to the left. Safe room straight ahead. Heavy steel door. Biometric scanner. Octavia pressed her palm against it. Nothing happened. She tried again. No. No, no, no. What's wrong? Kieran demanded. He locked me out. Vincenzo has admin access to the security system. He locked me out of my own safe room. Maria appeared from a side hallway. Piper in her arms. There is another way. The old tunnels. From Prohibition. They run under the property. Where? Benedetto asked. Wine cellar. Behind the 1947 Bordeaux collection. They ran. The wine cellar was massive. Temperature controlled. Bottles worth fortunes lined the walls. Maria went straight to the back. Pushed against a specific section. A door swung open. Stone steps led down into darkness. How far does it go? Kieran asked. Half a mile. Comes up in the old barn on the east property. Go. All of you. I'll hold them here. No. Octavia grabbed his arm. You're not dying for us. I'm not dying for you. I'm surviving for my daughter. Kieran pulled away. Positioned himself at the cellar entrance. I give you 10 minutes. Then I'm right behind you. Benedetto met his eyes. Something passed between them. Respect. Recognition. 10 minutes. Then we come back for you. They disappeared into the tunnel. Maria carrying Piper. Octavia supporting her father. The door closed. Kieran was alone. He checked his magazine. 12 rounds. Not enough. He grabbed a wine bottle. 1982 Chateau Margaux. Probably cost $10,000. He smashed it. Held the jagged glass like a knife. Footsteps on the stairs. Multiple sets. Professional spacing. They were coming. The first one appeared in the doorway. Tactical vest. Night vision goggles. AR-15. Kieran shot him in the throat. The gap in the vest. The man went down gurgling. The others pulled back. Started shouting coordinates. Setting up for a breach. Kieran counted seconds. Waited. They came in fast. 3 of them. Flashbang first. Kieran closed his eyes, turned away. The blast was still deafening. But he'd expected it. They hadn't expected him to be ready. He came out shooting. Dropped the first one. Wounded the second. The third got a shot off. Kieran felt fire across his ribs. Not deep. Graze. He kept moving. Closed distance. Drove the broken bottle into the man's neck. Silence. Kieran's ears were ringing. Blood ran down his side. He pressed his hand against the wound. Not fatal. Not yet. More footsteps. Coming faster now. They knew he was alone. Knew he was wounded. They were coming to finish it. He limped toward the tunnel door. Made it 3 steps. Then his phone rang. He almost didn't answer. Then saw the number. Octavia. Yeah. We're out. We're in the barn. Where are you? Still in the wine cellar. Having a party. Kieran. Just get to safety. Get Piper somewhere Vincenzo can't find her. I'll. The ceiling exploded. Wood and plaster rained down. They were breaching from above. Coming through the floor. 3 men dropped into the wine cellar. Then 4. Then 6. Kieran raised his gun. 5 rounds left. 6 targets. Bad math. The lead man smiled. Lowered his weapon slightly. Kieran DiNardo. You're a tough son of a bitch. Vincenzo said to make it quick. Out of respect. Respect. Kieran laughed. Tasted blood. Tell Vincenzo he's a coward. Tell him real men face their enemies. They don't send others to do their killing. I'll tell him. After you're dead. The man raised his weapon. A shot rang out. The man's head snapped back. He dropped. More shots. From behind Kieran. From the tunnel entrance. Octavia stepped out. She was bleeding from her shoulder. Face covered in dust. Gun in both hands. Firing with precision that spoke of years of training. Told you I wasn't dying for you, she said. Didn't say anything about dying with you. They fought back to back. Kieran's 5 rounds. Octavia's 8. 13 shots. 6 targets. Better math. The last man went down. Silence again. Except for the ringing in Kieran's ears. And the sound of more footsteps. Coming from upstairs. Coming from the tunnel. Coming from everywhere. We need to move, Octavia gasped. Blood running down her arm. Now. They ran for the tunnel. Made it halfway down the stone steps before the grenades hit the wine cellar. The explosion chased them. Heat and pressure and death. They ran through darkness. Stone walls on either side. Water dripping somewhere. The smell of earth and age. Kieran's side was on fire. Every breath was agony. But he kept moving. Because Piper was ahead. Because stopping meant dying. Light appeared. End of the tunnel. They burst out into a barn. Old wood. Hey. Benedetto was there. Maria. And Piper. His daughter looked up. Saw the blood. Started crying. Daddy. I'm okay, baby. Kieran pulled her close. Ignored the pain. I'm okay. A car screeched outside. Black sedan. Same one Octavia had driven earlier. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. Young. Latino. Expensive suit. Ms. Greer. Your car. He tossed her the keys. Looked at the blood, the wounds, the exhaustion. I called in markers. You have 12 hours before Vincenzo realizes his assault failed. 12 hours before he adjusts his plan. Who are you? Kieran asked. Someone who believes the old code means something. Someone who's tired of men like Vincenzo destroying what our fathers built. He looked at Benedetto. Don Viscardi. My father served you for 30 years. He taught me that honor matters. That loyalty matters. That family matters. He gestured at the sedan. There's a safe house. 3 hours north. Address is in the GPS, medical supplies in the trunk. Phones that Vincenzo can't track. Thank you, Benedetto said quietly. The young man nodded. Disappeared into the darkness. They loaded into the car. Kieran drove despite the wound. Octavia beside him, pressing gauze against his ribs. Benedetto in back with Maria and Piper. The little girl was asleep. Exhaustion finally winning. Why did you come back? Kieran asked Octavia. You were safe. You could have run. Because, she struggled with the words, because you saved my father. You saved Maria. You were willing to die for people you hate. That's not the man Vincenzo described. That's not the enemy I thought you were. I'm still the man whose wife you killed. Vincenzo killed her. Using my family's name. Using my father's reputation. She looked at him. Green eyes in the darkness. But you're right. We bear responsibility. And when this is over, when Vincenzo is dead, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make that right. Kieran's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Then curiosity won. Text message. Tomorrow. Noon. Vescovo's restaurant. Public. Witnesses. I'm tired of hiding. Time to end this. Come alone or the girl dies. V. Kieran showed Octavia the screen. She read it. Her jaw clenched. It's a trap. Obviously. So what do we do? We spring it. Kieran glanced in the rearview mirror. Benedetto was watching. Listening. But we do it smart. We do it right. And we make sure that when it's over, Vincenzo Caro doesn't walk away. The old man smiled. Cold. Predatory. Now you're thinking like family. The sun rose over Vescovo's restaurant at 6 a.m. Kieran stood across the street, watching the building. His ribs were wrapped tight. The wound had been shallow. Octavia had stitched it herself at the safe house. Her hands steady despite everything. Now those same hands were placing charges around the restaurant's perimeter. Small. Precise. Not to kill. Just to control the battlefield. Benedetto was inside already. He'd walked through the front door an hour ago. Gray suit. No cane. Looking 10 years younger than he had yesterday. The staff didn't know what to make of him. The old lion, inspecting the den where everything had started. Piper was safe. 3 states away with Maria and 2 of Benedetto's most trusted men. She'd cried when Kieran left. Made him promise to come back. He'd promised. Hoped it wasn't a lie. Charges are set. Octavia appeared beside him. She'd changed clothes. Black tactical gear. Hair pulled back. She looked like what she was, a woman preparing for war. Vincenzo will have 20 men. Maybe more. All exits are covered. Except one. Kieran pointed at the kitchen. Service entrance. Back alley. That's how I escaped before. That's how we escape now. If we escape. We will. She looked at him. You sound certain. I have to be. I promised my daughter. Octavia's phone buzzed. She checked it. My father says Vincenzo just arrived. Early. 30 minutes early. He brought his whole crew. Good. More witnesses. More evidence. We're recording everything. 6 cameras. 3 FBI agents watching from remote locations. Your old partner, Agent Rodriguez. He's running point. Kieran had called Rodriguez last night. His old FBI handler. The man who'd given him a new identity 2 years ago. Rodriguez had been skeptical. Then furious. Then coldly professional. You're telling me Vincenzo Caro orchestrated a hit on a federal consultant's wife? You're telling me the Viscardis want to cooperate? This better not be a trick, DiNardo. Because if it is, you're going to federal prison for the rest of your life. No trick. Just justice. Now Rodriguez was watching. Recording. Building a case that would dismantle Vincenzo's network. But first they had to survive. It's time, Octavia said. They crossed the street. Kieran wore a simple gray t-shirt. Jeans. Looked like a civilian. Looked harmless. He had a gun tucked at the small of his back, a knife in his boot, and the knowledge that he was walking into a building full of people who wanted him dead. The front door was unlocked. They walked through. The dining room was empty except for Benedetto. He sat at a table in the center. Teacup in front of him. Reading a newspaper like this was a normal Tuesday morning. Papa. Octavia's voice was tight. Where is everyone? Vincenzo cleared the building. He wanted privacy for our conversation. Footsteps. From the kitchen. From the private dining room. From the stairs leading to the manager's office. Men emerged. 20 of them. 30. All armed. All wearing the same expression. Professionals doing a job. And leading them, Vincenzo Caro himself. He was 50. Handsome in a cruel way. Perfectly styled hair. Designer suit. He moved with the confidence of a man who'd already won. Stopped 10 feet from Benedetto's table. Smiled. Don Viscardi. So good of you to come. Saves me the trouble of hunting you down. Vincenzo. Benedetto folded his newspaper. Set it aside carefully. I've known you for 15 years. Trusted you. Made you wealthy. Gave you power. And this is how you repay that trust. Trust. Vincenzo laughed. You trust no one, old man. You've spent 50 years killing anyone who got too close. You've built an empire on paranoia and violence. I'm just following your example. By killing innocent women? By breaking the code. The code is dead. The old ways are dead. You're dead, you just don't know it yet. Vincenzo gestured at his men. I have 40 soldiers. Political connections. Money. Everything I need to rebuild this organization properly. Without the dead weight of your outdated morality. Morality. Kieran stepped forward. All eyes turned to him. You killed my wife. Shot her in our driveway. Made my daughter watch. And you talk about morality. Ah, the FBI consultant. The famous Kieran DiNardo. Vincenzo's smile widened. Your wife was collateral damage. Nothing personal. Just business. I needed to start a war. She was convenient. Rage. White hot. Blinding. Kieran's hand moved toward his gun. Don't. Octavia's voice was quiet. Not yet. Vincenzo noticed. Oh, this is precious. The daughter and the Fed. Working together. Tell me, Octavia. Did you forget that this man tried to destroy your family? Did you forget that his testimony could have put your father away for life? I didn't forget anything. Octavia's voice was ice. But he told the truth. He did his job. You murdered an innocent woman. There's a difference. Is there? Vincenzo pulled out a gun. Pointed it at Benedetto. Funny thing about truth. It depends on perspective. From my perspective, I'm cleaning house. Removing weak leaders. Building something stronger. By killing everyone who stands in your way. Kieran asked. Exactly. Then you're not building anything. You're just destroying. Same thing, really. Vincenzo's finger tightened on the trigger. Goodbye, Don Viscardi. You were a great man once. But that was a long time ago. Wait. Kieran raised his hands. You want me dead, right? That's the whole point. Proof that the Viscardis handle their problems. Proof that you're strong. Where are you going with this? Let them go. Benedetto. Octavia. Maria. Everyone else. You can have me. I'll kneel right here. You can execute me in front of your men. Prove your power. Just let them walk. Kieran. Octavia started. No. He looked at her. Something passed between them. Understanding. I'm tired of running. Tired of hiding. Tired of watching people die because of me. If my death ends this, if it saves my daughter, then that's the deal. Vincenzo considered. Lowered his weapon slightly. You'd really do that? Trade your life for theirs? Yes. Even though Benedetto ordered hits on dozens of people? Even though Octavia runs a criminal empire? Even though they're the enemy? They're not my enemy. You are. Kieran knelt. Hands behind his head. You killed Sienna. Not them. You. Vincenzo walked forward. Pressed the gun against Kieran's temple. This is unexpected. I thought you'd fight. Thought you'd rage. But you're just giving up. Not giving up. Choosing. There's a difference. Vincenzo looked at his men. What do you think? Should I grant his request? Let the Viscardis walk while I kill the Fed. Boss, one of the soldiers said. If we let them go, they'll come back. With the FBI. With police. This ends messy. True. Vincenzo pressed the gun harder. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to kill you, Kieran DiNardo. Then I'm going to kill Benedetto. Then Octavia. Then I'm going to find that daughter of yours and make sure she never grows up to be a problem. How's that sound? Before Kieran could answer, Benedetto laughed. Actually laughed. What's funny? Vincenzo demanded. You. Benedetto stood. You think you've won. You think you're in control. But you've made 3 mistakes today, Vincenzo. Fatal mistakes. Oh. Enlighten me. First mistake. You assumed my daughter was naive. That she didn't know you were planning a coup. She's known for 6 months. Every conversation you had, every plan you made, we were listening. Vincenzo's smile faded. Second mistake. You assumed Kieran DiNardo was just a grieving widower. That he was broken. Finished. You didn't realize he's the most dangerous kind of enemy. One with nothing left to lose. Kieran was already moving. His hand had been behind his head. But not empty. Octavia had slipped him something in the safe house. Small. Metal. A single-shot Derringer. Antique. Untraceable. He brought it up fast. Fired. The bullet took Vincenzo in the shoulder. Not fatal. But shocking. Painful. The man stumbled back. Third mistake, Benedetto continued calmly. You brought this fight to my territory. To a building I own. To a place where every surface, every room, every exit has been wired for the last 12 hours. He pulled a small remote from his pocket. Pressed a button. The charges Octavia had set detonated. Not to kill. Just to seal exits. Doors slammed shut. Windows shattered. Emergency lighting kicked on. The restaurant became a cage. FBI. A voice boomed over a loudspeaker. This is Special Agent Rodriguez. The building is surrounded. Drop your weapons and put your hands on your heads. Vincenzo's men looked at each other. Confused. Panicking. Some raised weapons. Others dropped them. Vincenzo himself backed toward the kitchen. Blood running down his arm. Fury in his eyes. You set me up. You. I gave you a choice, Kieran said. Standing now. The Derringer gone. His actual gun in his hand. Justice or revenge. I chose justice. This isn't over. It is. Octavia stepped between him and the kitchen door, her gun raised. You killed innocent people. You betrayed my father. You broke every code we hold sacred. And now you answer for it. Vincenzo looked at her. Really looked. Saw no mercy. You're really going to kill me? Your own father's trusted man. You're not his man. You're a traitor. She lowered the gun. Slightly. But I'm not going to kill you. That's too easy. You're going to prison. You're going to testify against everyone you worked with. And you're going to spend the rest of your life knowing that you lost. Police poured into the building. Tactical teams. FBI agents. Rodriguez led them. He looked older than Kieran remembered. More gray in his hair. But his eyes were the same. Sharp. Missing nothing. Denardo. You look like hell. Feel worse. You're under arrest. Violation of federal protective custody. Illegal possession of a weapon. Conspiracy. About a dozen other charges I'll think up later. Rodriguez smiled slightly. But first I need your statement. All of it. Every detail. Starting with the night your wife died. Kieran looked at Benedetto. The old man nodded. Permission. All right. But first, I need to call my daughter. I promised I'd come back. Rodriguez handed him a phone. Make it quick. The call connected. Piper's voice. Small. Scared. Daddy. Hey, baby girl. It's over. The bad guy's lost. I'm coming home. Promise. Promise. He hung up. Looked at the chaos around him. Vincenzo being led away in handcuffs. Benedetto talking quietly with federal prosecutors. Octavia sitting on a chair, medics treating her shoulder wound. She looked up, caught his eye, smiled slightly, mouthed, "Thank you." Kieran nodded. Didn't smile back. Couldn't. Not yet. Because his wife was still dead. His daughter was still traumatized. And justice, real justice, didn't feel like he thought it would. It just felt empty. 6 months later, the grand reopening of Vescovo's made the front page. Not because of the food. Because of the story behind it. The restaurant where an FBI consultant had faced down a mob boss. Where a criminal empire had started to crumble. Where justice, however messy, had finally been served. Kieran stood in the kitchen, wearing a clean white chef's coat. Not stained. Not borrowed. His. Executive chef embroidered on the pocket. His real name underneath. Kieran Denardo. No more hiding. No more fake identity. The FBI had worked out a deal. Immunity for testimony. Protection for Piper. And a legitimate job offer from the most unlikely source. Benedetto Viscardi. You want me to what? Kieran had asked 6 months ago, sitting in a federal conference room. Work for me. As my chef. My real chef. Not undercover. Not hiding. Open. Honest. Benedetto had looked older that day. Frilier. The fight had taken something from him. I'm making my empire legitimate. Octavia is handling the business side. But I need someone I can trust in my restaurants. Someone who understands honor. You. You're insane. Perhaps. But I'm also serious. Your daughter needs stability. You need purpose. And I need to prove to the world that the Viscardi family is changing. What better symbol than the man who brought us down working beside us to build something better? Kieran had said yes. Not because he forgave Benedetto. He never would. But because Piper needed normal. Needed school and friends and a father who came home at night smelling like garlic instead of fear. Now, 6 months later, it was working. Sort of. Vescovo's had reopened to massive publicity. Reservations booked solid for 3 months. People came to see the place where history happened. They stayed for the food. Kieran's food. Chef. Trayvon appeared in the kitchen doorway. He'd been promoted to sous chef. Was thriving under Kieran's mentorship. VIP table just arrived. The Viscardis. They're asking for you. Kieran wiped his hands on his apron. walked out to the private dining room, the same room where this had all started, now renovated, brighter, less intimidating. Benedetto sat at the head table, still in his burgundy suit, but no cane today. Maria beside him, and Octavia across from them. She'd changed too, less leather, more tailored business suits, hair longer, but still the same sharp green eyes. She'd transformed the Greer family business completely, sold off the illegal operations, focused on legitimate logistics and real estate, was becoming, slowly, the kind of businesswoman her father should have raised from the beginning. She looked up when Kieran approached, smiled. Chef Donardo. The ragu smells incredible. Should hope so. Been simmering since 4 a.m. Just like you taught him. Benedetto's voice was warm. Proud almost. Sit. Join us. You're not just the chef tonight. You're family. Kieran hesitated. That word. Family. It still felt wrong. I have plates to send out. Trayvon can handle it for 5 minutes. Sit. He sat. Benedetto poured wine. Expensive. The kind Kieran used to only smell from a distance. He slid a glass across. To new beginnings. To justice, Octavia added. To survivors, Kieran said quietly. They drank. The silence that followed wasn't comfortable. But it wasn't hostile either. Just 3 people who'd been through hell trying to figure out what came next. How's Piper? Octavia asked. Better. Therapist says she's processing. School's going well. She has friends. Normal kid stuff. Kieran swirled his wine. She asks about you sometimes. Me? Yeah. Wants to know if you're coming to her school play next month. She's playing a tree. Octavia laughed. A tree. Best tree in the whole forest, according to her. I'd love to come. If that's okay. Kieran met her eyes. Saw genuine care there. Genuine interest. Over the past 6 months, they'd built something. Not friendship exactly. Not romance. Something harder to define. Mutual respect. Shared trauma. Understanding. Yeah. It's okay. Benedetto cleared his throat. I've been thinking about something. About legacy. About what we leave behind when we're gone. He looked at Kieran. I cannot undo what I've done. Cannot bring back your wife. Cannot erase your daughter's pain. But I can try to build something better. Something she can be proud of when she's older. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm old. Tired. My doctor gives me maybe 5 years. Maybe less. He smiled sadly. I'm saying I want to spend those years making amends. And I want your help. My help. A foundation. In your wife's name. The Sienna DiNardo Foundation. For victims of violence. For children who've lost parents. For families trying to rebuild. Benedetto pulled out papers. I'm putting $20 million into it. Octavia will manage it. But I want you on the board. I want your voice guiding how we help people. Kieran stared at the papers. $20 million. In Sienna's name. It wouldn't bring her back. Wouldn't erase the past. But it might save someone else. Might give another child the support Piper had needed and barely found. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Octavia urged. Say you'll help us turn something terrible into something good. Kieran looked at both of them. The old mobster trying to buy forgiveness. The daughter trying to escape her father's shadow. And himself, the broken man trying to piece together a life from the rubble. Yes, he said finally. But only if we do it right. No publicity stunts. No using Sienna's name for PR. Real help. Real change. Agreed. Benedetto extended his hand. This time, Kieran shook it. Not as friends, but as partners in something bigger than revenge. The dinner service went perfectly. Guests raved about the food. Trayvon ran the kitchen like a professional. And at the end of the night, when the last table had been cleared, Kieran found Octavia waiting by the kitchen door. "Walk with me," she asked. They walked through the empty dining room, past the table where Benedetto had tested him, past the spot where he'd spoken the forbidden words, out to the alley where he'd escaped. "I'm sorry," Octavia said suddenly. "For all of it. For my father's crimes. For the life you lost. For the childhood your daughter lost. I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything. But I need you to know. I know. Do you think," she struggled, "do you think someday you might be able to forgive us? Not forget, but forgive." Kieran thought about Sienna, about the promises he'd made standing over her grave, about the rage that had driven him for 2 years, about the moment that rage had transformed into something else, something more sustainable. "Maybe," he said honestly. "Ask me again in another 6 months." She smiled. "I will." They stood there in the alley where everything had changed, where he'd run for his life, where he'd fought for justice, where he'd begun the long walk back to being human. Octavia's phone rang. She checked it. "My father wants to know if you're coming to family dinner Sunday. Apparently Maria's making lasagna." "Family dinner?" "Yeah. Apparently you're stuck with us now, whether you like it or not." Kieran laughed. Actually laughed. For the first time in 2 years. "Tell him maybe. Tell him I have to check with Piper. She's the boss in my house." Smart man. 3 months later, Kieran stood in a middle school auditorium watching his daughter play a tree. She stood perfectly still for 8 minutes, arms raised like branches. The dedication was impressive. Octavia sat beside him, Benedetto on his other side, Maria in front of them. An unlikely family born from tragedy. When the play ended, Piper ran to them, threw her arms around Kieran's neck. "Did you see me? I didn't move at all. You were the best tree I've ever seen." "Ms. Octavia." Piper turned. "You came. Wouldn't miss it." Octavia knelt. "You were incredible. Are you coming to dinner? Daddy's making pasta. If he'll have me." Piper looked at her father. Something wise beyond her 6 years in those brown eyes. "Daddy, is it okay if she comes?" Even though she didn't finish. Didn't need to. Kieran knew what she meant. Even though she works for the people who killed Mommy. Even though we're supposed to hate them. Even though the world says this is wrong. "Yeah, baby. It's okay. Because Ms. Octavia is trying to be better. And we should let people try, right?" Right. They went to dinner. Pasta carbonara. Garlic bread. Salad. Normal family food made by a man who'd once been a chef to criminals and was now just a father trying his best. As they ate, as Piper told jokes that weren't funny but they laughed anyway, as Benedetto told stories about old Naples that were probably lies but entertaining, Kieran felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not happiness. Not yet. Maybe never completely. But peace. The knowledge that he'd done everything he could. That justice, messy as it was, had been served. That his daughter was safe. That the future, however uncertain, held possibility instead of just fear. After dinner, after everyone had left, after Piper was asleep, Kieran stood on his small apartment balcony, looked at the Dallas skyline, touched the wedding ring that still hung on a chain around his neck. "I hope I did right," he whispered to Sienna. "I hope you'd understand. I hope wherever you are, you're proud." The wind picked up. Warm Dallas air. It felt like an answer. Not forgiveness. Not absolution. Just acknowledgement. The beginning of acceptance. And that, Kieran decided, was enough. So what do you think? Did Kieran make the right choice partnering with the family that destroyed his life? Could you work alongside the people who took everything from you if it meant building something better? Sometimes justice isn't black and white. Sometimes it's messy, complicated, and requires impossible choices. Sometimes healing means walking through fire with the people who lit the match. If this story moved you, if it made you think about forgiveness, justice, and the power of choosing peace over revenge, then you're part of something special. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on those notifications. Because every week, we bring you real stories about real people facing impossible choices. Stories about courage, redemption, and the strength it takes to choose hope when darkness seems easier. And drop a comment below. Tell us about a time you had to choose between revenge and peace. Tell us about someone who hurt you but later tried to make things right. Your story might inspire someone else who's struggling with the same choice. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. Share it with our community. New stories drop every week. Stories that challenge you. Stories that inspire you. Stories that remind you that even in our darkest moments, we have the power to choose who we become. Don't miss out. Subscribe now. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, the most powerful weapon isn't revenge. It's the courage to choose something better. See you in the next story. Stay strong. Stay brave. And keep choosing hope.